for beginners. Actually, it's very helpful. Beginners like you, or maybe any person who want to start with Alteryx. So for them, let's say you want to utilize any particular tool over here, right? So definitely you need some support, some help, like what are the what are the configuration element for it? What are the, I mean, if you can get some samples or examples for it, then you can see those. So there are two things what I want to kind of convey here. That very first thing, if you are on Windows system, just go to your C drive and then go to my PC, C drive. Okay, so app data you will get maybe under users. C drive, users. Okay, then app data. And under this, there is a local folder. If you go to this local folder, you will have a folder named with Alteryx. So under this, you will have couple of folders, or you can say the repository or the folder. You know, uh, when the Alteryx you install Alteryx on your system, then these folders get created. Now these folders will have couple of informations which is very helpful and useful in order to kind of learn or use whatever you use in the Alteryx. So now sample is the best one. Over here, all the data what the examples what they use in Alteryx, that gets saved here. So you will see like different data elements. These are all the data files related to Alteryx. Sample data, and this is start here data. So you might ask me question, where are we using this? We have not seen it yet, right? Do you know where have we used it? See the different tutorials. You can get all this examples into Alteryx, and this automatically gets created as soon as you install Alteryx on your system. Right? Let me tell you that where are we using this? Settings and join. Okay, fine. Let me go to Alteryx. In Alteryx, whenever you drag or whenever you work on a particular tool, so let's say this is your input data. If you right click on it, you get this card, and on this you have open example. If you open this example, it will open the files which are located in that particular folder what we were looking at. Getting? It is not downloading this file from web at this moment. It is opening this file from the same folder location what we were looking at. So over here, you can see the details related to a particular component or tool, like where you are going to use it, how to run this, right? And what are the different other configurable items over here. So you can see like selecting a
Because
sheet,
previously,
start reading. Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, I was asking how it's coming. Previously, yesterday we just dragged the input data. It was only just drag the
Mhm.
input data and we just connected with the tables and all, Excel table.
Mhm.
Right now it's coming all the information. So how it's coming here?
No, 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 no,
They're
no, no.
opening the file.
So there is a difference. There is a difference in both the things what you are saying. First of all, let's say if you drag this tool, it will come like this only. There is nothing, no information. What I did today, I went ahead, just put my mouse on it, right? Single click, then you will get this card. And from here, I'm opening this example. If you open this example, then you get that detail. Okay. So this example is basically the complete help or guide for you, which you can follow related to any tool. Any tool over here. Let's say if you come here, single click, open example, you will get another page opened with this. It will tell you, guide you like how you can configure this element, how can you run this element, what are the things. So for example, if you see run is a single button over here, but in order to run, you can simply click Control plus R also. So if you do Control plus R on your system, your this package will run. See, I simply clicked on Control plus R, it got executed. So it will show you whatever result it was supposed to show. One record, right? So what I'm telling you basically at this moment, that if you are new to Alteryx, no need to worry. You can simply go to these particular controls, click on open example, and see the related configuration, help guide, and then start using it. Any doubt?
No.
Okay. So it's related to any tool what you have. And another thing, the best part of this Alteryx is this search tool over here. As of now, I was trying to look for that tool, and then I used to click on it and then see the open example. Let's say you
So
want to
basic,
see more details right now. Yeah, please go ahead.
so basically all the whatever it mentioned here in all the tools, so we'll get the example. So it will help basically, right?
Correct. Another quick way of searching the help will be go to this search box and type. Maybe you can type the result what you are expecting, or maybe you put the name of the tool. So let's say if you say dynamic, right? As soon as I type dynamic, I can see the things related to dynamic over here. You can open the example. You can search that tool into community. So dynamic filters or related topics related to that. As soon as you click, within a minute, you can open that information and see the examples. So two-way search, it will help you a lot once you start working on Alteryx workbook. Fine.
So dynamic is something
Now,
different means.
no. Dynamic is a keyword what I have just typed. You can type the any keyword.
Any
Let's say
tool,
select.
okay.
Yep. So if it is select, you will see the tools related to select keyword.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say if you type input, it's going to show you tools related to input. Okay. So it's all help which is being offered over here. The only difference will be like whatever examples you are uh, trying to open, they will open from your system. But if you go to this help and community, it will open from your web. So if you're not connected to internet, these things will not open. But examples you can open, because related files for examples, they are already there on your system.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now another thing what I would like to tell, let's say I drag this particular tool over here. If you click on it, you come here. So first you can see four icons over here. Now the first one is obviously related to configuration of this particular tool. The second one is related to the navigation, that how data is entering into. Okay, is somebody dropped? I think Vishnu has converted or switched to telephone. Not sure why. Okay, fine. We'll continue. So over here, this is the tool what I have dragged. But for this particular tool, what is the input data? What is the output data that you can set through navigation, right? Now, the another icon what you get is related to your annotation. So you can put the details like what message you want to show for this particular tool. So that message will come for this particular tool. Like annotation, you can, for end users, you can mention that message or the name of this tool or what this tool does. So you can apply or for show that information. Now the last icon what you get over here is again related to help. So if I click on this, I will get help related to this particular tool what I was at. So we have dragged date time now. You see that what page it has opened. Date time now, configure the tool, right? And then several examples related to this. So you can get a lot of help. Three-way help you are getting from Alteryx Designer. One is from the search toolbox. One is on that particular tool itself, open example. And then you can take the help of this help icon. Correct? Any doubt, any question here?
So basically, in all of them, in all four icons, it will related to date basically format. Or in the first icon, we'll get the date format only.
No. Date, why we are getting date? Because we have dragged this tool called date
Calendar.
time now. If I
Okay.
drag something, right? If I drag something else, you will get something else over here. See, the configuration got changed, right? Navigation will remain same. Annotation will be little different, and then help will obviously be different because it is related to output data now. See,
What it's called?
so whatever tool you drag,
Mhm.
this tool,
In the four icons, but
okay, this tool
no, I'm
is
talking about
I
this
drag
four icons.
help,
Help navigation. Okay.
right? These are the navigate. Yeah, right. So this one is like navigation. This is help. This is your sorry. Last one is help. Second one is annotation. Second from top is navigation, and then first one is called configuration.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just remove it first of all. We'll go to some example so that you can see exactly how these things work. So let's say join multiple. I'll just click on it, open the example, right? Anytime you want to kind of explore or run one example, you can go ahead, see first of all like what settings they have done it. You can see the data over here related to each input box. Then this is the dynamic, basically multiple joins. So on what basis they are putting this join by specific field or join by record position. So these are the different components or properties they have set up. Just run this to see the results. So results tab, you can see the results related to each element. So if I click over here, you can see related results related to this one. Go here, or maybe any input box or output box. Fine. So navigation through this toolbox should not be difficult. It should be very easy when you are trying to kind of explore these components. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me go ahead and start working on maybe input output. So yesterday what we did, we dragged only a simple example by putting this input data, right? And what we saw that we had, if you click over here like where it says connect to a file or database, you can get the different connections which you are supposed to be, or maybe you can connect from your system. So yesterday we connected to one Excel file. Now let me just go ahead and connect to one SQL Server database. So what I will do, I'll just click on Microsoft SQL Server and we'll say quick connect. If I do so, I get this window, and over here it asks for the connection name, it asks for the host, which is the server name, and then the type of authentication you want to use. So whether you want to go with Windows authentication or you want to go with SQL Server authentication. So what I will do for now, I'll just give it a name, maybe a SQL Server. Let's say local connection. You can give any name. Over here, we need to give the server list. So I'll just open my SQL Server and give it yeah, just give it a minute. It will open the SQL Server. I'll copy this server name and I'll put the same thing over here. Server name what I have. Because it is on my local, so that's why desktop and the subname you get. And I'll go with Windows authentication only. So you can test it. It says connection was successful. And then maybe you can select some of the databases, whichever you have on this particular server. So let me select, maybe let's say K Global I want to select. So I'll just select this at this moment, or let's say AdventureWorks, any database, whichever you want to select, and you need to click OK. As soon as you do that, again you get the list of all the databases which are available on this particular servers. And then from here, if you want, you can take the table names. See, because I selected AdventureWorks over there, I can see all the tables related to AdventureWorks. Or Query Builder, you can kind of just select whatever tables you want, and you can select the columns, that which columns you want to add into your query. So maybe if you want, you can select all. Here we go. Fine. So I selected all the columns in this particular table. In case, let's say you have multiple table and you want to apply the join, you can do that from here, right? You can drag another table and you can put that also here. And after that, you can set the join using your primary and foreign key relation. So that modeling is possible over here. Now the next step what you get is stored procedure. So let's say you got some of the stored procedure in your database, then you can call them here. Let me just go ahead and change some other database, I believe, because in this I don't have any stored procedure. I'll go to AdventureWorks only, Query Builder, stored procedures.
So while we are going to connect with SQL, so this window will open, right?
Right. Now we are on the same control, right? The control which we connected yesterday. But yesterday we connected using Excel file. So we had other options like seat name, range, a named range.
Okay.
Today we have
Okay.
connected to SQL Server, so we are getting options related to SQL servers. So it
Through
depends that
input
what
data, right?
yes. So it depends that what type of data source you are connecting to. Accordingly, you will get the options,
Okay.
right? Over here, you can simply write your select query like select start from any table, whichever you want, right? So the table name, let me select couple of tables, maybe. Okay, at this moment, let me just take this and go ahead. So I just selected one table. I have not written any query or anything, just selected one table and refreshed over here. You can see the data related to that particular table what I have selected to. It has 16 rows, and these are the properties related to this configuration window. So it says record limit as of now nothing. File format is ODBC data type connection. Table or query name, so it's a table. In case you want to change the table, you can right click over here. You, you'll again get the list of all the tables. You can select whichever table you want to select to, or okay. Accordingly, you will get your data over here. So not sure which table has the maximum data, but okay. So it has only one record. Let me take address and move. Fair enough, 100 records. So we'll move with this. Cache data, we are not doing it right now. Cache will go ahead and take the copy of this data into in database of Alteryx, right? In database, what we discussed yesterday, the memory database, right? Then you have table or field name. So over here, as of now, like let's say everything is coming as none. You can have the values as quoted. So let's say in case you have text data, it will come as quoted information. Now, okay, just give me 1 minute, guys. Okay. So basically, this is the same concept what we follow in case of transaction committed or like log the transaction in SQL Server. So it is that type of arrangement. Now, do not show percentage complete, pre-SQL statement, run pre-SQL tool configuration, and post-SQL statement. So these things we are not right now worrying about because we are not using any query. We are directly connecting to table. In case you are using some query, so you can have a sequential queries. Like before the main query, the query which you mentioned here, if you want to kind of run some other batches. So you can define those into pre and post. Hope that makes sense. Any doubt here? Guys, are you able to understand? Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. Can you explain once again because this pre-SQL statement and post-SQL statement queries?
Yep. So what I said, let's say in case you are using a query, right? So your master query, what you have mentioned over here, that will execute it because of this option, right? Tool
Yes.
configuration. But let's say you have number of queries and you want to kind of define a string, sorry, sequence. So in that case, you can specify your query into this particular segment, right? Query editor, go and type your query. So this query will run before the query which you have mentioned here. It's a kind of sequence between three queries. You can run them in parallel, not parallel, basically in order,
Okay.
right? Pre, post, and your main query. Deepak, is it clear? I just saw your message that you said no. So is it clear to you now? Okay, fine. So I hope we are still connected. Yes. So over here in input box, you will not see your data until you run this. We are connected to this input box. This data is there in the Alteryx as of now, but it will not flow through this control until unless you run this flow. In order to run this, as we said yesterday, you can click on this run button or try to click Control plus R. As soon as you click Control plus R, it will execute and then you can see the result or data onto this particular tool. So right now I'm just clicking over here and we can see the entire data set. Is it clear?
Yeah.
We talked about metadata also, so you can see the metadata related to your data. Now just go ahead and look into this metadata for a moment. Okay, no, okay, fine. Let's talk about this. So over here, let me add one more control. Then we can see all the data types. As of now, we can see limited data types related to this particular data. I'll add one more control over here so that we'll be able to see all the data types available in Alteryx. Let me go ahead and select, use select actually. So this is the select tool. You can just link it by anchors. So as soon as we add it, we'll see select. Okay, before I go ahead and talk about some other things, select tool is basically used to select some of the fields, which means out of this data, you were getting around 9 fields. You had 9 fields over here. But let's say you don't want all 9 fields to flow through your data flow what you create. Let's say you want only 2 or 3 fields. So what you can do is you can use select tool and uncheck the fields which you don't need. And then just run this. So what will happen? You will get only those fields which you have selected. All others you will not get. So right now only 4 fields are coming which are selected over here. In case you want to select few more, select and run it, you will get those new fields also. So it works exactly as select a statement in SQL Server. So you can filter out some of your limited columns which you want use in further process. Correct?
Yeah.
Now there is one more use of this select tool. In case you want to change the data type of your field, then you can use the select tool. Let's say you want all the fields. You don't want to miss any of those, but you want to change the data type. I'll just run it. You will get all 9 fields over here. But address ID, it is integer. So, I mean, you might know, right? It's an ID. And ID in integer format doesn't make any sense because you cannot add two IDs, right? Can we add two IDs?
No.
Right? We cannot add employee ID of ours and get some other number. No. Employee ID is an identification number that is either a discrete or it should be a string format. Right? It cannot be a continuous number. Is that clear?
Yeah.
It's not clear. Okay. Shikha and Deepak, what about you? Is it clear to you, or should I take some example over here? What is the difference between continuous and discrete? In a way, I can say. Hello?
Yeah.
Yep. Shikha, are you there? Okay, fine. I'm not sure whether she's able to understand, but yes. See, continuous numbers or discrete number, there is two things. Let's say if I ask you that how many students are there in this session at this moment, right? It will always be a whole number. You can never say that there are 3.5 students in this session, right? Either it will be 3 or it will be 4. It can never be 3.5 or 4.5, 1.2, right? The number of people in a room can never be in decimals. Or in other words, if I say I have 10 laptops, I cannot say that I have 10.5 laptops. Can I say that? We cannot, right? Because the quantity or the counting of people will always be either 1 or 0. It cannot be 1.1. Fine. So such numbers wherein you cannot have points are called as discrete numbers. And the continuous numbers are all those numbers which can be represented in form of decimal. So that's a basic difference. But we started with employee ID or address ID. So ID is again, an identification number. On those numbers, you cannot do aggregation. If I say your house number is 1/142 and your neighbor's house number is 2/142, so can you add these addresses? No, right? That's the identification number. And identification numbers cannot be added. That's not a quantitative thing. It's a kind of, positional, you can say, or you can say type of categorical. So it defines that nature of your object, not the quantity form. So that's why you cannot add those numbers. And the same problem over here, address ID is integer in 32. So what I will do, I'll go ahead and change this data type. How can I do that? I'll select this object, will go here, click on drop down, and maybe I can select string. It will take size of 11, and then you can run this. As soon as you do it, see, address ID got converted into string. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about different type of data types which are available over here.
So
Right?
what is this? It's a check connection
Check connection. Where do you see that?
in the right side means checkbox.
Oh, you mean these checkbox you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. These checkbox are to select the field. So in my input box, I had 9 fields, total 9 fields. If I who dropped Vishnu. Okay. So if you see here, Shikha, if you click on this particular anchor, you see that in your data you have 9 fields. Address ID, address line 1, 2, city. Total 9 fields are there. And over here, the data type of address ID was integer 32. Now let's say you are getting 10 fields or 9 fields from your source data, but as you go in the data transformation process, you don't need all the fields. Let's say you need only 5 fields. So for that, you can use select tool. This is the select tool what I have dragged. In the select tool, whichever fields you will select, only these will go. Other fields will not pass through. So let's say if I run this once again, you will get only 5 fields right now, which I selected over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Address ID unknown. Sorry, this unknown is I don't know what it is. You can ignore this. But total 5 fields starting from address ID, address line 1, city, and spatial location. Correct? So this works simply as select column 1, column 2, column 3, and then from a particular table. The way you do this in SQL Server query, select query. Is it clear?
Yes.
Right. So two uses of this select tool. One is to select your required fields, and another is to kind of change the data type, whichever you want. Right. So these two uses what we saw of this select tool. Now I was about to talk about different data types which are available here. So these are the data types which Alteryx support. So if we go by the names, what is bool? First one, you guys need to tell me. There are many which are very simple.
Booleans.
Booleans. So bool is boolean. Generally, it is 1 or 0 that refers to your true or false. Correct. Then
Yes.
you have byte. What is byte?
Byte like any character byte.
Yeah. So it can be in any character. It is just byte has a limited space, right? Limited character length. What is the character length for byte?
1.
1. What is bit? BIT?
Yeah, bit
Which is the minimum? Bit or byte?
byte is minimum, I think.
Byte is minimum. So byte means 1 character. If you go by bit, which means 8 characters,
8 characters. Yes.
right? So byte is means 1 character only. So let's say there are fields wherein you just want to take 1 character as a value. It could be any character 0, 1 or A to Z, anything but 1 character length. In that case, you can use byte.
Bit means
Integers,
8 bytes.
yes. So over there you can take 8 characters. Now another thing is related to your integer. So integer like 16, 32, 30, 64. So each has different information that you can read in Google, because it has huge range also. For each integer character you have starting from negative numbers, if you go to positive numbers, they can store huge numbers. So I'm not very particular about those numbers right now. So we can skip. If you want, you can read it about. Then fixed decimal and float and double. What is the difference between these three? Fixed decimal, float, and double.
Float is something we can use for decimal value,
Right. Then what is fixed
and
decimal?
fixed decimal, like we can just if we are working with a decimal value, so we can
Mhm.
just fix the value. It will not change basically.
Right. So basically, let's say you want only 2 decimal places. So it will
Hmm.
always show you the 2 decimal places,
Two decimal place, it will not change.
right?
And
Without
double is
rounding off that. Yeah. Yeah. Please go ahead. What is double?
double is also used for floating value.
Mhm. Double is also for floating values, but what is the
Yes,
difference?
yes.
There will be some difference in float and double. That's why they are separately.
Yeah.
Okay. So out of these two, in float, let's say you can have any decimal value. Fine. Any decimal value with, you can provide after decimal, you can have as many places. But in double, what happens? You will round off. Round off, let's say you have used double and you have given 3. So whatever numbers you are getting in the decimal, it will round those off into 3 places of decimal. Is it clear? It's a
Okay.
decimal places only. Yeah. in one place you are rounding off the decimal, in one place you have static decimal places, in one place you are kind of having the decimal places, but you're not defining any limit or places. There is a minor difference in all three.
No.
Yeah,
What is the major difference between float and double?
So
Float
see,
is also yeah.
yeah, in float generally you can give any decimal number, but in double you will specify the number of places.
Okay. Any decimal number. Okay.
Okay, then you have four type of strings over here. One is string, then you have W string, then V underscore string, and then V underscore W string. Any idea about these things?
no.
Okay. How many of you worked on SQL servers
Yes, I
or maybe
worked.
any database?
Yeah, I worked in SQL.
Right. So over there we have a concept of char, varchar, and nvarchar.
Mhm.
What is char? Or
Char
maybe what
is
is a different?
basically
Yeah, please go
char
ahead.
char basically it's a fixed for character where we
Right.
know that it only comes four characters, so we can only use char. And
Right.
if we are talking about varchar or varchar
Nvarchar.
2 and varchar, okay.
Hmm,
So
hmm,
varchar basically where we don't know how much space it will take, means
hmm.
what's the length of the column. So where we don't
Right.
know, we just generally choose the 50 or 40 something. So
Hmm.
we need to choose the varchar.
Okay. So we need. What is the benefit of varchar?
Basically, it will not take extra space because we have a fixed length. Because I know that only three characters come, we have a three characters name value. So I know that the
Hmm.
RAM will only come. So there is a no wastage of characters, no wastage of space basically.
No, but my question is, let's say in a column you will not have Ram always, right? The names will keep changing. Somewhere you will have five characters, then you will have maybe three characters or maybe one character. So
Yeah,
in
you're
that
right.
case, mhm,
In that case, we'll take the varchar to not care, because where we don't know what will be the exact length or what will be the exact space it will occupy. So
mhm,
where we need to choose the option varchar, and where we know that it will this is fixed basically, we choose only five or six character. So there
mhm.
only we mention for care in whole table.
Okay, all right. So let me explain the same thing in using little different words. Okay.
Okay.
In char, what happens? Like let's say you simply go with char. So as many characters you will specify, it will block that space in the memory. Now, let's say for a particular row, let's say name field, what you said, and you have taken Ram as a value over there. And you
Mhm.
mentioned three, kind of for that column, you have mentioned three as a length. So what will happen for entire column for each cell, SQL Server will allocate a memory of three characters. So if there is a RAM, that is fine. You have fully occupied that space. If let's say it's only two characters, right, as a value, let's say A and B are coming as a value in that particular cell. So what will happen? You have consumed two character space, but the one character space which you blocked, that remains unused. You getting?
Yeah.
Right? You block three character space for each cell, but you have used only two character space, so that one character which is remaining, that will remain blocked, and it will not, no other value will be able to use that. So that's the kind of fixed width, fixed length you have given.
So
Now this is
basically,
that
it's
is
occupy the space, na?
no, it is blocked, but it is not used.
Okay.
Right? You are unnecessarily paying the charges for that, for which you are not paying. So you are not using. It's a wastage. Correct? So in such situation where you are not sure that your values can be less or more, you need to use varchar. So in varchar, even you mention the length as 100, okay. If you, let's say, mention the whatever number you mention, that is always the upper limit. So if you mention 100 as a varchar size and you put the value of 100, it will occupy all the spaces. But let's say if you enter a value of only 50 characters, so the 50 remaining spaces that will be released for other values. System will not block that space. If value will come, it will use that. If value is not there, it will release that for other data. So that's a benefit with varchar values.
Okay, system will not block for other
It will
values.
not block that space. It will release. It will use only if there is a value. If there is no value, it will not use that space.
Char will block.
Yes, char will block that. These two things are clear, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, there is nvarchar. What is that? Vishnu? Nvarchar, or in
No idea.
okay. In other words, I will say that you will see even in Word document also. There is a keyword called
Unicode.
non-Unicode. No,
Yeah. And
Unicode
where
or
there is a
non-Unicode,
Unicode.
right? So what is that Unicode thing?
Some ASCII characters will be there, right?
ASCII characters, you mean in the value?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, not exactly. Not exactly. So what happens, even if it is written as address ID, right? Computer understands the language of machine learning only,
Yeah.
right? And that machine learning comes into form of 0 or 1,
Yeah.
right? So any language in the word, that need to be converted into 0 and 1 so that computer can understand. But before converting that into 0 and 1, whatever language you are working on, I mean, I'm talking about the language in which you speak. So for example, this is in English at the moment. There could be, other languages wherein you use a lot of special characters like Chinese, Japanese, or Hindi as well, right? Computer will not understand those languages directly. So what happens, those languages need to be kind of converted into maybe English or some other language, and then third conversion happens into 0 or 1, right? So what
Yeah.
computer needs to do, they need to store both. Ultimately 0 and 1 will be there, but the other special characters, or those signs, which comes into those specific languages, computer will store those signs as well as English, and then that convert that into 0 and 1. So for non-varchar characters, system occupies the double memory. When I say double memory, basically, if let's say you are writing city in Chinese language, it has 4 characters. So if you write this into Chinese language, so it will block the 8 characters over here. 4 for English, 4 for Chinese. Now again, it depends that how many characters are in the Chinese language. If it is 4, then it will block 8. If let's say Chinese, there are 5 characters, then it will block 9 characters. Right?
Okay.
Right? So that is what happens in case of nvarchar. Now, if I talk about the language or maybe data type over here, your string behaves as a char, which means you specify the number of characters. Whatever character you give, it will block that space. If it is less, it will still block that space and not use them. W string works as non-varchar. So non-varchar but fixed, right? Because the string is fixed, this is also fixed, but with non-varchar. So let's say if you're typing city, if you're typing city with non-varchar, it will block the double space. Now v over here is similar as your varchar, and this is your non-var n varchar. So v means variable. Over here it will, let's say if you block 100, I mean give 100 as a number and the value is of only 50, it will block 50 and release the remaining 50. It will take special characters also with variable length. So that's the difference between your all these four data types.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Any doubts?
Basically, Unicode is easily handled to store the foreign languages, right?
Right.
And which require more space. And if we are talking about non-Unicode, it will work for char and varchar, text and char.
Correct.
Yeah, this is
Right.
the major difference, right?
Yes. Over here in Alteryx, they are calling it as W string or v underscore W string.
W string is means char or n varchar.
It's nchar.
W
W
string,
string
okay.
is W string is nchar, and if you say n varchar, then that is v underscore W string.
Okay.
Right. So this is one of the tool which helps you kind of change these data types by selecting whatever you want in the drop down. Fine. So it gives you the capability to do it. Now there is one more tool. Now what is that tool is that is known as autofield. Yes, autofield. If you take this tool, what this does, using the Alteryx its own intelligence, it will convert the data type of different fields. So if you see here, you had integer v underscore W string integer 32. This was the default data types. But if you go ahead and run your system and then see the data types which are going through auto tool, I don't think it has changed any. System 32, yeah, it has changed. So over here, if you see, it was v underscore W string. Using auto tool, it has converted that into v underscore string because it might not have found any special characters there. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of benefit using auto tool. It automatically automatically changes the data type for better optimization. If you use this, your data flow will be faster, right? But let's say auto tool is changing something into some data type which you don't want to use, then you will have to use select so that you can change the right data type what you want to use. Clear? When to use select, when to use auto tool, auto field. Now there is one more tool. I'll go to developer segment, and over here you have dynamic select. Now what is this? What is this select and what is this select? Any idea what could be the difference?
No.
Okay, so as you know, like both this is dynamic and this is simple select and this is dynamic select. So in dynamic select you have little more features, right? The features are, if you go here on the configuration tool, you will see two options. One is related to field type, one is via formula. So if you say field type, what will happen? It is giving you all the data types over here.
So,
Field type.
where is the mention in developer tab? This
Yeah, it is.
selected.
Yeah, it is in the developer tab and it is dynamic select,
Okay, okay, got it.
right? Now what happens if you select by field types, and let's say if you select numeric, it will select only the numerical fields, numerical data types out of your data. And if you run this over here, you will get only the numerical data types, like integers. Right now you're not getting any string or other data types.
Right.
Let's say if you go ahead and select string and run this once again, it is going to show you all the string ones. See, even the date type, date time is also it is showing, right? So it is string one. And special you don't have. Let me select. Okay, special we have one. So let's see what it does. Okay, it ran, but it failed, right? So why it is failed? So it says a record was created with no fields, which means the data we have, it doesn't have any special object. A special object means
Any special character or something?
no. This is special object means geographical location, geographical data,
Okay.
right? So Alteryx has not identified any field in our data which is of a special object, and that's why this object has failed. If it will identify that there is a field called related to maps, then it will show you that data. So as of now, let's say if you come here, fields, okay, it has one, but its a data type is blob. It is not a special object. That's why it might have failed. So let's see over here, do we have anything? Okay, it has a data type called special object. So let me just do one thing. I will drag this preparation select toolbox once again. Select one. Where was the select? Do you remember? This one. I'll put it over here, and from here I will change the data type of this blob and will mark it as special object. And then we will run this. I'll select only special and we'll run this.
Spatial object means?
A special object means it's related to your map location, map or
Okay.
geographical location, right? It could be your latitude or longitudinal information. It could be the coordinates. It could be any number in terms of distance, right? But as of now, this is the blob type, and that is why we are not kind of able to convert this into a spatial object. So even the select is also failing and dynamic select both are failing. So which means it doesn't have that data type which is required it to be a spatial object.
Used
We'll
for
see some.
map basically.
Yep. So we'll use some other use case. Right now, I think we cannot convert this one using your spatial object. So I'll just not select it. We'll just leave it as string or maybe all fields. And then you can see your data using your dynamic select as well, right? So what we used here so far, select, auto tool, and dynamic select, and input obviously. So far so clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Apart from this, like as soon as we click on any object, we can see the data by clicking on this particular arrow. If you click here, you get this data. If you click here, you get this data. If you click here, you get this data. Now for any object, let's say for this one, it is connected at both places. So this will give you the input data for this particular object, that what data is coming as input. And if you click on this particular arrow, it will tell you that what data is going out. So the output data. And you will be able to see this only if you have ran it once. Fine. So input data and output data from a particular control. Any doubt as of now?
No.
Okay. Now let me go ahead and create another workflow. And over here, let me take some input data from Excel. Okay, I have a couple of files over here. So what I'll do, in one I will take this results sheet, one sheet itself. I don't need any other modification. We'll click OK. You can see that data. Fine. Then I will take another data, input data, and over here, let me take it from some other files. So we'll go ahead and select not XLSP. We'll choose only Excel. Let's say Superstore orders. Okay.
In
And
the
you can see
first, you choose sample superstore, right?
in first I have a sheet name as results. In second, I
Okay.
have a sheet named as sample superstore. So two data sets, over here sheet one, over here orders. These two sheets I have kind of connected to.
So through join we can connect.
I mean, as of now, I have just created the connection to those files. Now let's see that what else we can create. Okay. So the first step, we connected to two data sources. Now we'll go ahead and look into the join tab, which is basically this one, where you have all join, union, and different fields. On top of that, you have preparation also. So if you look at the data into this particular sheet, you will not see anything over here as of now because we have not ran it. So let's run it once. Now you can see the data over here. So you have row ID, order date, ship date, and many fields. In metadata, you can see your data types. See over here, like row ID, they have taken as double, which doesn't make any sense. It's automatic that what Alteryx has read. So you can anytime you can convert this by using auto field. It will make the processing fast because it will convert them into required data types. Still it is double. Okay, so over here if you see, for sample superstore it has taken the dates as date time, and for results it has taken date as date time, sorry, date only. So it could be different data types. Now maybe because in this one we have copy pasted the data, so that's why data type is different. So that's fine, no need to worry about that. It is all about your data. It You have complete flexibility. Whenever you want to change anything, you can do that. Fine. Now we'll just go ahead and again into the joins, and we'll say, let's say union. If I do union, let's see what happens. Right over here, you can see 1 and 2. Like there are number of two branches. You are joining the data from these two data sets. So 1 and 2, if you add third, you will get another third row. But let's see, give it some name so that it will be better. You can select and maybe you can give results data. And over here you can give it name as maybe sample superstore. Right, so you got your basically the name for both the objects.
So if we are going to combine the two sheets, so we need two joins here.
We are
So
going to union data from both the sheets into one. It's a union, right?
it's a union, but you used it already. Okay, in the other two things, that is a what is this in the blue
Autofill.
icon?
This is
Autofilled.
autofield,
Okay.
right? Autofield only converts the data type automatically, which is coming as an input, right? In case you don't
Okay.
want to use auto tool, you don't have, I mean, you are not kind of bound to use it, but it's a good practice to use auto tool because it will convert the data types in required format.
Similarly, in SSIS, we are using the data conversion. It's like that?
Exactly. So data conversion is 100% same as your select component, what we used earlier.
Right. Right. While we are transferring our data in Excel to SQL, so we are
Right.
using the data conversion. There is no mismatch and there is
Right.
no any other. Yeah. Similarly, here it's autofilled.
Correct.
Okay, got
Oh,
it.
okay. Now, before I go ahead and run this, if I click on union, see over here, you are getting couple of options like auto configure by name. So what will happen in case in your data, there is a same headers in both the sheets, results as well as superstore. If we have the same fields, Alteryx will automatically identify and append them. Maybe do the union. Okay,
Mhm.
you understand this, right? Auto config by name. In case you want by position, you can do that also. So position will be the column position, like column 1 from result 1, column 2 from result 2, that will get union, right? But that is risky because neither you remember the name nor Alteryx will see the name. It will only look at the position and append the data. So that is risky. You need to be very careful while doing this. Another thing will be manually configure the fields. So over here, if you see from both the data sets, you can see the fields which are coming.
Hmm.
In both file, I have the same names at this moment. But in case, let's say you want to kind of change it, you can by position or name, maybe you can go ahead and change these. So like this, if you want to switch, see, I just switched order date here and order ID here. So you can switch the fields using this one. So you can manually arrange the fields and then you can go and do the union. You understand the concept of union, right? Like what is the difference between join and union?
Basically,
Union means
while we
it
are
will.
Yeah, I mean one
Union
by
means
one.
it combines entire data.
It combines the data, but how? Vertically or horizontally?
Vertically.
Yeah, vertically. So basically, column A from table 1, below that column 2 of table 2, like that, right? I mean column 1 of both the tables will come on top of each other. So that's what you can see here, like row ID from result set, row ID from sample superstore, it will be appended. In case there is a mismatch of columns, you can correct that by this particular field. If you want to do cross check, do this setting. If you don't want to cross check, just go by the name. Alteryx will automatically identify the names and do it. But yes, in case it finds some names, let's say maybe with different data type, then it will give you the warning or different other error sets or ignore that or warning. The same concept what you have in SSIS. It can truncate or it can give you some errors. So now let's go ahead and kind of run this. Let's see what happens. So it has finished that, and over here you can see your data. Click on data. So this is your total combined data. It has 29,882 rows. I didn't see any errors. Messages are there, of course. Right? It has given messages, but there is no error, no conversion error, and no warning. And it says 2 files which were being picked up from this location and then combined. Fine. Any question in union?
No.
Okay. Over here, if you see into the results, over here as of now what you are getting, like result set data is coming at the top and then sample superstore will be below this. In case you want to change the order, just select this and switch the order and then run it once again.
If we click on union, how many options is coming in the left side? Auto configure by name and other options are?
Yeah, it's already selected. Only these options which you get. Okay, in the drop down, you
Yeah,
get
I'm talking about
auto config by position and then manually configure the fields.
manually means we can change the field name and all, right?
Not the field name. You can simply change the order manually.
Order and
Yes.
position if we want to change the position, so we can choose the second option, right?
No. You can go by position, go by name. Any kind of order you can manually change here.
Okay. And the
Right?
second option was
Config by
yeah, or
position.
yeah.
So over here, Alteryx will do it by their own. We don't need to do it.
Or in case of name,
Same. In case
okay,
of
same.
name also. Yeah.
So what is the
The,
difference in both auto configure by name and auto configure by position?
okay. So if it is auto config by name, Alteryx will look at the names of fields and then map them. Okay. So row ID
Okay.
from table 1 will be mapped with the row ID of column 2. Sorry, table 2.
Okay.
It will look only the name. In case you have common name but different data over there, it will give you error. Right? Getting this point?
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay.
same thing will happen over here in position. Let's say in table 1, your row ID is the 10th column. And in table 2, row ID is the 5th column. So if you go by position, it will fail because the position of columns is different. So it will fail. What it will do, it will take one column and append into the first column of table 1 and first column of table 2 and then try to append without looking at the name, without looking at the data type. If something mismatches, it will fail. So that's why the best option in order to check and then process is the last one. Manually do it. Until unless you are not 100% sure about the position and name, don't go by these options. Go by the last option.
Okay, you are saying like in a table, like I have a table employee 1 and employee 2. In employee table, we have a 3 columns, and employee table 2, we have a 3 columns. So
Mhm.
column name in the first table, we have a first column employee ID, employee name, and salary. And if I'm talking about in the other table, we have a same column name. So
Mhm.
that is, we can say that we can combine through by name.
Okay. Let me create one same example what you're talking about. So it will be clear to everyone. So over here, let's say employee one table, and it has name, department, and
Salary.
salary. Okay.
Right.
Okay, whatever the spelling is.
Mhm. It's
Okay.
okay.
Then you go by employee table 2. Over here,
Mhm.
let's say you have name, you have
Department.
salary, and you have, let's say, department.
So
Okay.
that is go by position.
No, I'll tell you. Now you have the two. You have three options to do the union. First option is, let's say, by name.
Mhm.
Second option is by position, and third option is manual.
Mhm.
If you go by name, right? So irrespective of the position, Alteryx will just check the names. Like you have a proper name for match for name, you have match for department, you have match for salary, right? It will
Mhm.
not look for position. It will only check the names and then try to append the columns by the name. Now
Okay.
let's say over here, though it is the name as salary, but you have given a string and here it is number, then it will fail. With the name, right? It will map automatically, but it will fail because you have a different data type,
Right.
right? So you, if let's say data type is also same and name is same, then there will not be an issue. It will automatically do it for you.
Okay.
By
Okay.
by position, so it will look for first column and over here first column. Over here it will look for second column and over here it will look for second column, right? So second and second it will try to append, but the problem is in our use case, it is department and it is salary, which means these are the different columns. Alteryx will try to append department and salary, but because there is a different data type, then it will fail,
Okay.
right? So if you're sure about the name, go by the name, there is no problem. If you're sure that in both the tables we have a correct position, like name at the first position, department in both the table is at the second position, and salary is at the third position in both the table, no issues. Go ahead and do that by position or name anything, right? But in case you're not sure about this arrangement, go for the manual one and manually arrange these fields. Then you will get the correct data. Okay, so it's all about your data knowledge here, like the data source which you are working on, how much aware you are with the data. If
So
you're
basically,
aware,
manual is the best option to choose.
see, I would not say that it is the best option. Why? Because let's say if you have 100 columns in a table, in both the tables, you need to cross check it for 200 times, right? 100 time in one table, 100 time in another table. That's a minimum I'm saying. It could be more also. So that's why you need to have a proper awareness of your data first of all. I have worked on the tables with 180 columns. Think about that scenario if you go by manual. You need to append two tables with 180 82 columns. It'll take hours to kind of join or manually check one by one. So it depends on the scenario situation, but yes, it is good, it is always good if you know your data first of all. Any tool, any technology if you use, if you know your data well, you will have easy life, right? So coming back here, as of now we have not stored this result anywhere. All my data I can see on the fly into Alteryx. We have not given any destination to save this. What should I do to save this data? Any idea? what should I do to save my data?
This workflow you are talking about?
No, I'm talking about the data which is coming as a result of this union. See, you can see the data here, but it is not saved anywhere.
So we can use output tool and we can save it.
Correct. So what I'm going to do now, as Vishnu mentioned, I'll take output data, we'll put it here, and as soon as you put it here, it will ask you to configure it, right? Like where you
Yeah.
want to write this data. So let me just try SQL Server. I have never done on this system. Let's try that I want to store this data into SQL Server. Fine. So for that, I'll go ahead and select SQL Server. Okay, sorry. SQL Server. Quick connect. Let me see if I can get the old database name. Yes, I can get it. See, all the information is coming by default. I need not to do anything. I don't want to go ahead and do this into this database. We'll see. Let's move. The output file format that was specified requires a table or worksheet name. So I will say table name as sample underscore superstore. Table name I have given because it is going to be a new table at this moment. So over here, if you see, we just configured it. It will go to the same database that AdventureWorks, and it says maximum record for file and all the basic information what you can see here. I think I can just go back and run this particular statement. Let's see what happens. Fair enough. So it ran and it has saved the data into my database. Let's go ahead and see that. I'll connect. We'll go to database, AdventureWorks, and under tables, this is the table which just got just created. I'll click and see the top 1000 rows. So over here you can see the same data which we just created came here. It's 1000 rows. Maybe just delete it. Maybe you want all the rows. 29,982 rows. Right? So we just dumped our data using Alteryx coming from two Excel sheets. By using union, we are able to dump it here. Any doubts so
SQL.
far?
Mhm.
Okay, we are just fetching the data, whatever we have created the workflow. So all data coming through output, we just connected with the SQL Server and goes into the table, right?
Right. Okay.
So this is
So
our destination here.
yeah, this is the destination where we just saved, saved our data.
So destination could be in Excel or any other source as well, right?
Whatever you see here, you can create the destination for. If it is file
Okay,
based or if it is database based.
okay, got it.
Okay. Now the next thing, what we can do is I'll just remove. Yeah, we'll just put it here. I'll add one more control. Yesterday we were looking at summarization, right? So let's say look for that tool, summarize. And over here, what I'll do, if you just right click over here, it will show you all of your fields, their data type, and it will give you some options to select like what exactly you want. So if before I go ahead and do anything, what do you understand by summarize? As a word or as a meaning in English, what is the meaning of summarize?
Basically, we are going to aggregate our data.
Right. Yep. In a simple word, it's very, very well. It's aggregation, what we want to kind of apply on our data. Now, aggregation is generally done on which type of fields? Can you do the aggregation on
Aggregation,
your, yeah, can you do the aggregation on
numeric.
dimensions?
No. We will work on numeric values only, like salary and employee
Hmm.
ID. So integer value basically. It's similar
Okay,
like group by in SQL.
right. But I may not be, kind of 100% satisfied with this answer. Why? I'm telling you why. Because some sort of aggregation is possible on dimension field as well. Do you know why? I mean, not why, I should say examples. Do you know any example wherein we can apply aggregation on a dimensional
Like
field?
we need to change the data type there. This, for example, if I want to count the employee name,
Mhm.
so we can count the employee name.
Exactly. So the count
Yeah.
will be, count is the aggregation which you can apply on any field, any dimensional field or numerical field,
Hmm.
right? So that type of aggregation is possible. Now the thing is, we'll go ahead and apply aggregation on fields like sales and we have profit. So on these two fields, right? But as you said, like group by, so it has to be group by based on some fields. So what I will do, I'll go ahead and take maybe state, we'll say add. Okay, let me, it's all, let me select string fields only and group by. So what we just did, we have taken all our string fields. No, but I may not use all these, right? It's too much. I can take only few of the fields. Let me remove. Okay. Order ID I don't need. I'll just remove whatever I don't need. Ship mode I will remove. Customer ID I'll remove. Customer name I'll remove. I'll keep segment. Country I will remove. City I will remove. Product ID. Let me remove
Hmm.
region category. Okay. Let's remove everything. Just keep two. Okay. So I'll just keep category and subcategory. This is the group by thing. Now the next thing what I want, I will take sum. For sum, I will go to finance or maybe numerical. Okay, need to select first of all your fields. So let's say none. And you need to select the field for which you want. And then add. So sum. Okay. So first of all, you need to select the field which you want to add in the bottom segment. And then you can get accordingly the aggregation. So for profit also, I will get sum and will do it here. So you got your levels as category and subcategory, and then you got sales and profit. So it will show the sum. I'll go ahead and run this once. Okay, it failed. It has given some error, but let's see what it is. So your error came into this one, which ran earlier successfully. Fine. You're
Hmm.
getting right. But yes, for the summarization, if you click here, you have the data like category, subcategory, and related data. So it is the metadata. I'll just look into the data. It's your category, subcategory, sum of sales, and sum of profit. It gave you the result in this format, which ran successfully. Now let's look into the error which we got because of this control, which earlier ran successfully but now gave the error. Right? Do you know why I have got this error? Anybody, any clue? How should I go ahead and see that why this error came? Hmm?
No idea.
Mm, there is any already an object name. Means table name is same here. I think.
Right? So last time, if you remember, when we were trying to run this, we created a table called sample superstore. This one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Read the errors, right? It is
Yeah.
specifically telling you that there is already an object named sample superstore in the database.
Mhm.
Right? So does that mean if I already have a table, I cannot use it? That should not be the true, right?
Yes.
I should be
Yeah.
allowed to I should be allowed to append the data, correct?
Yeah.
So let's look into those options. Do we have those options here? Or if not, then what to do? So I'll just select it again. Now if you see here, file format is fine, ODBC database. Output options, it says create new table.
So
So
we can change this.
if I run this, every time it will try to create a new table. But
Right.
if the same name is already there, it will give me the errors. So
Mm.
that's why what you need to do is you need to kind of change it, and you have these many options. Append into the existing data, delete the old data and then append into the same table, override the table. This will drop that table first and then create a new table with the same name. Create a new table which we have already seen. Now append, warn and append failure. Sorry, not append, it is update. Update error on update failure and update insert if. What is the meaning of last three statements? I
Update.
think, yeah,
Common
update.
update. Yeah.
If I ask you in SQL language, what is the meaning of update?
Update will basically it will update your data if you want to change any employee name, so you can update command. You can use update command.
Mhm. Update command,
Yeah.
right?
Ins-
Which means it is not going to insert new record. It will look for the existing record and then update the data if there is any difference in the row, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's why update is used. So over here, I'll just use our first option, append existing, and we'll try to run this once again.
Yeah.
So,
Now there is no error.
right, there is no error at this moment. It ran very well. And the good thing would be like if you go and run this query, earlier you had 29,000. Now you will get somewhere around, I think, 60 or 59,000 rows because it has appended into existing data. See, 59,000.
Mm.
Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So any questions so far what we covered today, like connecting to SQL servers, looking at select, dynamic select, auto, and then connecting to SQL Server, doing union, and then summarizing your data and putting back into SQL Server.
Mhm.
Is there any specific, like when to choose select or dynamic select? Is there any specification?
Yeah, so that's what we went through. For dynamic select, there are two conditions, right? Either you want
Yeah.
all the fields related to a particular data type, you can use this. Or let's say you want to create your custom data set. Over there, you can use via formula. So formula means basically, let's say, you can, depending on the fields over here, you want only two fields, let's say, right? So in that case, you can define a formula depending on your fields. So let's
Okay.
say in the, let's say in the field, in the data, you had address ID, right? And you want to
Yeah.
name it something else, or maybe you want to show it at the 4th position. Then you can, use this dynamic select.
Okay.
But in 99% scenarios, like in the data word when we work, we will be using the select or auto tool. This will be used very less, right? You will hardly get in a situation wherein you will say, okay, I want all the fields which are integers, or I want all the
Yeah.
fields which are string, right? Business decisions will not be taken on the data type basis.
Yeah.
So that's why it will be very less used, but there is a capability which you can utilize for your, as and when it is required.
Okay.
So, right. And over here, we saw one kind of use case wherein we did the union, we summarized the data, and we got this over here. Now, let me just go ahead and do one more thing. And then I have a problem statement for you guys. So whatever results I'm getting over here, I'll store this into data, right? I'll store this into database. What should I do for that? I want to store this data into database.
We need to use output tool and we need to.
Okay, I'll go to input output. We'll use output.
And we'll store in.
And then configuration. We'll do the same thing, database. We can use the same configuration. Okay. Table name, I can give my sales summary. We'll say okay. And it's here. And this time also I can directly go and select that option, append existing. And we'll say run. Okay. Now what? What happened this time?
It's one error.
Yeah. Why
Select
there is a
category,
error?
subcategory, some.
Can you please be a little bit louder? Now why
So
it
we didn't
failed?
select any tool. So we need to use select tool, right?
No. Over here, see, we were getting our results as a part of the summarize tool. And what I wanted to
Okay.
store this into database. So it failed,
Yeah.
right? You can see the error here also. And for your information, I'll show you once again. We selected the append existing in the very first time.
Yes.
So earlier I saw that this was failed because of this only. So I converted this into that condition. But this also failed. Why?
I didn't get why this error is coming actually.
Yeah, I mean, even I'm asking that question. Why is this error coming? There has to be some reason, right?
Yeah. Something it's mismatching of column or
Okay, let me go back and show that why it is happening. See, I selected append existing, right?
Yes.
As of now, we simply gave the table name while creation of this connection. Did I tell that what columns this table is going to have?
No.
neither Alteryx knows nor SQL knows. They will not know until unless I'll go ahead and execute that statement. Right? So if columns are not there at all, where this job is going to put the data? I said append existing. See, existing thing is itself not there, right? It will not be able to put the data. So the very first time when you run any job related to the databases, either you need to have your table in advance. If not, then first of all run it with table, like creating a table, and then use append existing. So I'll just change it. We'll say create new table and we'll run it once again. Correct? It
Yes,
ran.
because we have already taken the different output data. So we are not working in the same output data. Am
I
I
mean,
right?
yes, you are right. But over here, while creating the connection, I simply gave the table name. I didn't give the table structure. So that's why the table was not at all there, and it didn't append the data. But now I said create new, so now it will create that table into SQL, append the data, and then if you go back and run it once again, for example append existing, now it will find that data and structure everything, and then it can run successfully as many time you run.
Yeah.
Fine, it's clear.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right, here comes my second problem. The problem is, while testing this, I ran it, I think, thrice. Right, I ran this workflow thrice. So the data in my existing table, if you see here, it will be around 1 lakhs, I think, or maybe more than 1 lakh. Yeah, 1,49,000. Like every time it data was getting to appended into this table. And same thing happened if you go by the another table what we created, summary, sales summary. I'll just refresh this here. Sales summary, top 1,000 rows. We'll remove top 1,000 and we'll run it. So see, I think we ran it twice. So that's why 34 rows we are getting.
Mhm.
Right, same record is getting repeated twice. So is there a way, right? This is a question to everyone. Is there a way with help of that I can identify that this is my first run or this is my second run? Or in other words, can I have a date and time? Basically, at what time this particular flow ran? Can I have another column over here? I'm not asking this to be done in SQL Server. I'm asking this to be done in Alteryx. Is there a
Like
way? Yeah, please go
actually,
ahead.
I just want to ask you one question.
Mhm.
Why you mentioned two output data? Means why it's need two table? We can append in all the data in the same table. But yes, if we are talking about summarized data, if you are talking about summarized data, only that data will go in the top one, the second one output data,
Right.
right? That's why
Mhm.
you only use the another option.
Mhm. No, no. See, it's a generic scenario wherein, let's say, you are getting your raw data from 2 or 3 places,
Okay.
right? You want to create a workflow through that. You want to achieve many tasks like maybe weekly summary, monthly summary, daily summary, right? Over
Mhm.
here, you have your consolidated data, and over here you have a summarized data. So there
Okay,
are two
that's why
out.
you use two output data. So these
Right.
two data
Hmm.
will go in a different table.
Right. At the place
So
of creating two different jobs, I created one job, and through that I'm getting two outputs as per my requirement.
okay.
Okay. Now, because I'm running this flow many times, right? I can run it once again. Maybe by mistake I run it. I should have a way to identify, right? Like the records which are getting appended when this record got appended. I should have a way to check like how many times this flow ran in a day so that I
Here
can
the output,
identify. Yeah, Vishnu, please go ahead.
here it is showing in blue color, right? Output 8, output 6, output 7.
You mean this thing?
Yes, yes.
No, but how would you go and check? Let's say after this you need to do your analysis. So again you will get data from these destinations, right?
Yes, yes.
How would you identify there? There has to be
So we
some column.
can date and
Yeah,
name, date and time.
date and time. We can have that column, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now, your answer is right, but I'm not going to implement that today. What I'm going to do is I'll put this workbook into the shared folder, and I want a response from three of you that you need to add one column in the output so that you get that field added, the date and time. Okay,
Okay.
that's the assignment for today.